places of Baal. He was taken there to the high places. It says in Judges 2:13, they forsook the Lord and served Baal. Baal is the god one serves when you forsake the Lord. That's the first person or the first member of this dark trinity. What about the second? It says in Judges 2:13, to continue on, it says, they forsook the Lord and served Baal and Ashtaroth. Some are recorded as Ashtaroth and some as Ashtoreth or Ashtorah. Judges 10:6. The children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord and served the Baals and Ashtoreth. Saul was killed. When he was killed, they beheaded him and took his armor and put it in the house of Ashtoreth. It says of Solomon in 1 Kings 11:5, for Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians. 2 Kings 23:13, and the high places that were around Jerusalem, which were on the right hand of the mountain of corruption, which Solomon, king of Israel, had built for Ashtoreth, the abomination of the Sidonians. Who was Ashtoreth? The Phoenicians called her Ashtart or Astart. The Arabs called her Atar or Athtar, and the Babylonians called her Ishtar. The Greeks would call her Aphrodite. Also Artemis would be a combining of who she was. She was worshipped in that city in Acts where they almost killed the disciples, where they say, great is Artemis. Also known as Venus later on, and the planet Venus was her sign in the heavens. Ashtoreth, but originally from the Middle East. Judges 10:6. And the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord and served the Baals and Ashtoreth. Notice she was linked to Baal. She was considered Baal's female counterpart. She was also linked to fertility. She was considered the lover of Baal, and also the female version of Baal. She was kind of like Mrs. Baal. If Baal was the god of fertility and productivity and increase, Ashtoreth was the goddess of lust and sexuality and sexual immorality. The worship of Ashtoreth was characterized by sexual immorality on the high places, in the green troves. Her worship, if they were women, her worshipers were to either sacrifice their hair or sacrifice their chastity in worship of her. Her chief worship was in Babylon, as she was known as Ishtar, and where the worship was done through prostitution. Prostitution was practiced in her temples. She was not only the goddess of lust and sexual passion and immorality, but also the goddess of war, the sword, destruction. Goddess of both, enticing, seductive, and violent and capricious. Her myth suggested that if you crossed her, you would pay. Her passion both sexual and violent. In Arab mythology, she morphed into a masculine form, and also into a form that was both male and female. Later in rabbinic literature, she'd be known as the demon of lust. The Israelites followed her as they followed Baal. The worship of Baal led to the worship of Ashtoreth. They worshiped her with sensuality and sexual immorality on the high places of Israel and in the green groves. And just as Israel had gone after gain apart from God, personified by Baal, they would go into sexual immorality as personified by Ashtoreth. That is the second person of the Dark Trinity in Israel that destroyed Israel. And what about the third person or third member or third principality of this Dark Trinity? Ashtoreth is attached to Baal. The third person is attached to Ashtoreth. 1 Kings 11:5 goes on. So for Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. Milcom here is undoubtedly linked to the god Molech. The third person of this Dark Trinity is the god Molech. The word Molech comes from a Semitic root word that means king. Melech means king. He means king is what it means. Molech, he was worshipped by the Canaanites, the Phoenicians in North Africa. In Greek, it was said that his counterpart in their gods was the god Kronos, the god who ate his children. We get from Moloch the name, when you hear the name Malcolm, it comes from Moloch. If you notice the vowels in Ashtoreth and Molech, they're the same. Ashtoreth, Molech. And that may be because the Hebrews took the word for abomination or shame, and they put the vowels of that word into the consonant of the gods. So it's it becomes Oeh, Ashtoreth and Molech. And so to the Hebrews, those who were following God, this was a shameful thing. But Molech was the darkest, especially known for something more than anything else. He was known as the god of child sacrifice, the god who demanded that his worshipers offer up their children, a most horrible abomination. God warned them of this god before they even entered the land. In Leviticus, the Torah, Sinai, 18:21. It says, "And you shall not let any of your children pass through the fire of Molech." 1 Kings 11:5, Sidonian, as we said, Solomon went after Ashtoreth and Molech, or Milcom, Moloch, of the abomination of the Ammonites. Jeremiah 32, verse 35, "And they built the high places of Baal, which are in the valley of the sons of Hinnom, to cause their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire of Molech." The valley of the sons of Hinnom, or in Hebrew, you could see it. Those who will be going to Israel, you can see the valley. It is called the Valley of Hinnom. And there, that's where they offered their children. So cursed was that place, was that valley. That valley in Hebrew is called Hinnom, Valley of Hinnom, Gehinnom, from which we get the word Gehenna, which became the picture of hell. Molech was represented by a huge